probably all her life in science and nature, put this amazing exhibition together of these beautiful images. And we are really thrilled to be showing this. Not only because of the work, but because of the way that she has created a whole experience for viewers to come through. So it's really an immersive experience that you get to enjoy while you're here. So I am going to pass it on to Jen so that she can do her magic, work her magic.
So I'm going to try to make this not a boring art lecture. And I'm just going to talk about things, and then I want this format of comfortableness where you ask me questions. Because I think that's far more engaging than me just talking at you about my work, okay? So what we'll do is we'll just start in this area, and then I'll just walk through and talk to you about why I made the pieces I made and what you're looking at. And so in this front space here, we curated it. So I don't have a lot of color work. The reason why I don't have a lot of color work is because I don't think it's absolutely necessary to create a powerful image. But you know, I'm an artist and I'm curious, and I feel like certain things just need to be color. And these two pieces really called to me to become color works. The one on the right, which is Boneyard Beach, is South Carolina. There was something about the neutral color palette that was happening on that beach that I just felt would make the print more impressive when I was creating it. And so a print like that has about 9 different colors. It's what I do with Woodblock Prints. So I work with linoleum, so I do a drawing on the surface, and then I spend weeks cutting them out. You can look at my tools when I'm done talking in the little flat table there. And so these prints are called color reductions, which means instead of having multiple blocks for different colors, which is the traditional Japanese method, I use one block and I put to color and I cut more, and then I put the next color and I cut cut, print, until really there's very little information left on the block, and I'm printing my darkest darks at the very end. So it's opposite of being an oil painter in the sense that you're working from the light values down to the dark values, maybe more inclined with like a watercolorist, for example, right? So that's how I created these two pieces, and I'm not just interested in amazing nature images and finding out why they are the way they are, but I'm also interested in monuments, monumental pieces, bridges, roadways, structures that were feet of America and were built by immigrants, furthermore. And so that sort of interests me a little bit too in juxtaposition of just nature. So that's how I came up with these pieces. And I wanted to challenge myself in creating a piece that echoed the fog of San Francisco. Because if you've been there, then you know, if you see the top of the bridge, you're really lucky that day. Because the fog is in and out of San Francisco every day. And I didn't want to be obvious and call it Golden Gate Bridge, because I viewed that from Crissy Field in San Francisco. So there's a couple of places that you can view the bridge at. One's on the other side of the Barren Headlands, and this is on the side of San Francisco in Crissy Field. The New York piece, come on in. The New York piece, I wanted you to experience New York with, you know, the Empire State Building the way you experience it, which is walking down the street and having that upward point of view. And, you know, it was funny when I was making, people were like, why don't you just get the image off the internet? And I was like, because they're not mine. And they don't move me in a way that I find it interesting to create. So I went to New York, I took like 300 pictures of the Empire State Building. And then, interestingly enough, the last pictures I took, I was so cold, it was February. So I was going to see family on Long Island. I took these last couple of pictures before I got to Penn Station. I just stood there and went, oh my God, that's really how you experience it. So I photographed it, and this is the image you see here. And in terms of installation, I've always envisioned it installed in this sort of Woody Allen, New York style room, right? Because when you watch a Woody Allen movie, there are rooms inside buildings and places that I would never own or be able to own. And they're just these big, gorgeous, crown molding experience, right? And so I wanted you to view, how's that?
5 years.
Yeah. I wanted you to view it in that way. And so I did spend time creating this pattern. This is not wallpaper, it's painted. So I was here for 2 days painting the repeat on the wall and the repeat on that wall too. And so when we're done with the tour, take a peek at those because those are the studies that I did before I committed to doing this large piece. All artists do small studies first. I prefer ballpoint pen. It's funny, I was talking to George and he's like, it was a wonderful compliment that he gave me, which is that I had a lot of range of tone in those drawings. And he was amazed that I used a black Papermate big pen from Walgreens. So, and it's just, you know, as an artist, you get attached to a certain tool for creating things. And I just love those pens. I'll go through a 12 pack every now and then. So that sort of explains those. Yes, please. I'm sorry?
Like 3 panels instead of one large one or 2?
Part of it was forced because of material. And at the time when I created this, I could only afford to buy linoleum that was 2 feet wide by 90 feet. I mean, this is a true story. I'm not going to lie to you about having a room. And then I thought about it, and the name was given to it through the window, and I was like, wow, yeah, it's going to work. It's going to feel like a window, you know? So that's really how that happened. You know how it is. You're an artist yourself. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to use this, right? So that's how we got to that scale. Yeah. Are there any other questions? So for those of you that came in late, I said put your hand in the air and ask a question whenever you want, so I'm not droning on. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm so homesick. I want to make work about home, not about California right now. And so I said, you know, I'm going to make a companion. So I actually started with this piece from the Everglades project. And I'm like, no, you know, everybody makes alligator prints, you know, like it has to be life-size, or it's not going to be meaningful. It's not going to feel like a presence, because that was equally as important to me, besides making a representation of the alligator. I wanted it to have presence, and so that played a role in the scale, which yes, now I can afford 3-foot wide linoleum, so this is about Florida and about the Everglades, and they're like, really, 11 feet? I said, yeah, the average male. And then I'm telling them all these facts about the difference between alligators and crocodiles, and we'll get into that in a minute. And then I decided I wanted to represent a little bit more than Everglades, so I did the Florida grasses piece that are here on my left, which are also equally as beautiful and interesting as in the Everglades in terms of being an estuary for the local golden birds. And so, and then I decided I was going to create another character because the great blue heron is very dominant in our landscape. And if you've been out there with those birds, they're pretty big and pretty. I'm a New York kid, so I'm like, you know. And a lot of people make prints of birds, but a lot of people do not incorporate the landscapes that they're in. That's what I did. So I said, you know, no, I really want the bird to be incorporated in its environment of Everglades. I spent a lot of time in Shark Valley, so if you haven't gone out to the Everglades National Parks, I highly recommend it. Please go. And you don't have to be crazy like me and hike for 6 and 7 hours. The Inhinga Trail is a perfect example of the Everglades at Everglades National Park down in Homestead. So it's a 1.5-mile trail. It's paved, and you will see everything you need to see that's inclusive of this particular environment. So, yes.
Is the great blue heron also life-size?
Yes, pretty much. Pretty much. Everything except for the grass, because I ran out of material and I wasn't going to make 9-foot tall grass. Yeah, that's life-size as well. Good question. Other questions?
Difference between alligators?
We'll talk about that in the next phase. So really quickly, because Tony asked a really intelligent science question, and I'm science geeky. I couldn't do biochemistry, that was my problem. I've done science, and the balancing of equations is escaping. Please come in a little further, you can overlap. Let the short people at the front and tall people at the back, right? So it's just like schools. So one of the things I wanted to do was talk about the fact that Florida is the only place in the world that has crocodiles and alligators living in the same ecosystem. Yes. So that's how this room got started. This is a Florida room, which is a play on words. So as a little girl, my grandmother brought me to Florida all the time, and everybody had these Florida rooms with the jalousie windows and the rattan furniture and the tacky hula girl. And so from a very young age, I associated Florida with these Florida rooms, 1950s kind of look, and a specific smell, which is like the Everglades, the palm trees, right? I'm a city kid from New York, so, right. So I'm like, I'm gonna recreate a Florida room. So there's the balance of, these are crocodiles on the wall, this is an alligator. And so just physically speaking, the crocodile has a more narrow nose. Crocodile is found in salt water, these are found in fresh water. Crocodiles are more aggressive, they're lighter in color than alligators are as well. So there's a few differences between them. I can tell you more facts about alligators, but that's for science when we're drinking after my tour. That's what I talked about. Yeah, I just mentioned that. So, and I really wanted to play the room up. So this is the actual block. So when you're on your way out of this space, take a peek at it, because this is what I printed the great parent off of. So you get an idea of what it looks like, what I carve, and then ink, and then pull an impression off of, right? So I always say printmakers make the best impressions. I have a lot of printmaker jokes. Yes. Yes.
How did you make your crocodiles?
Okay.
Yeah, do that same question.
Yeah.
Okay.
You make a mold?
So let's go with that one first.
So the crocodiles are 3D printed. So one of the things that's exciting about also being a faculty member at Miami-Dade College is I have access to equipment. And our campus president just bought us a ton of equipment. So I'm in there basically printing these. They took anywhere between 4 and 8 hours per crocodile to print. So they're hollow inside. Some of them are and some of them aren't, because there's a learning curve. And it's a splice, it's a computer program that's splicing, right? So we were figuring out the rafting and how we can use the least amount of material with the fastest print time. That's why I told you some are 8 hours and some are 4 hours, because as I progressed.
Doing them with a mold, like your silicone mold.
I've done that before. It takes way longer, right? So if I'm casting them in a mold, then I'm being taken away from doing this. Whereas opposed to me having a file, and I'm like, print, buy, gotta go, print, buy, gotta go. You know, so while that's printing, I'm working on other things like printing this, mounting this crocodile, you know, all the other elements. Right.
How many did you end up?
I ended up making 140 of them. Wow. I think it was right around February when I had done the math, because it was a little overwhelming. This is a very big space, so I just kept giving myself information a little bit at a time. So right around February, I did the math from this room, and I counted the crocodiles on the dining room table. And that's my partner, Mary. I was like, oh my God, there's not enough crocodiles in the room. So I just start calling everyone I know that had 3D printers, and putting my material all over town. So the Wolfson campus was printing. I had a friend of mine playing. We were all printing, and we made it. So it was super exciting. But you know, lesson learned there. But that explains the AstroTurf, the Florida room play, and also the pillows. You know, as a printmaker, one of the things that's important to printmakers is making an addition. But my prints are one of one. And I'm really pretty excited about that, because I get very tired of looking at the same image repeatedly, hanging out in my drawer. I don't think it's necessary to have the multiple, but I still like the idea of the multiple. So if technology is making the multiple, I'm okay with it. The pillows are a limited edition of multiples. There's 6 of them, and those are ballpoint pen drawings that I had painted with wash paint. I scanned them and then sent them to a company, and they printed it on fabric. Wow. And then I took the fabric home and sewed it together and made pillows. So, you know, for me, that way of doing an edition is appealing, but not necessarily with the actual artwork. You come from a painting and drawing background, so that might be a part of
So
that.
you make only one lithography out of this block?
Yes.
Is that a waste or something?
Not to me, it's not. It's a uniqueness rather than a waste, right? Because how many people do you know is going to go to that much trouble to make an artwork be that important? Not a lot, you know? So, right. I was drawing, I would have done more. But this is, you know, another whole process altogether. And so I also, in a more elaborate answer, I enjoy cutting the block, and I enjoy changing my mind about my image as I'm cutting. So I might draw the image and go, no, I'm not going to cut that, I'm going to cut this, or I'm going to leave this dark. So I start making other decisions while doing that mechanical process.
You're using plywood?
That is medium density
Oh, yeah,
fiberboard.
yeah.
And there's a reason for it. It's a great question. Because normally printmakers will use a birch ply, and then we have to prepare that surface, right? We have to shellac it,
Right.
get the drawing on, shellac it several layers later, and then you have to be conscious of the grain when you're cutting. And so that bothers me because then you're forcing me to be specific, and I don't like that. I don't like a lot of rules or having to be that specific. Yeah, I want to change my mind. So that's why I picked that material, because it doesn't matter, there's no grain. I can cut curvilinear, I don't have any problems.
Yeah.
That's a medium density fiberboard, which is what most of IKEA's furniture is made out of.
Wow.
Like,
Okay, that was really-
right. So which inexpensive kitchen cabinets are made out of.
You take your kitchen.
Yeah, when your kitchen cabinet gets terrible, right? Any other questions about the
Since
room?
you're going through this process, you showed us, pointed out where the tools are that you use to cut after they're drawn. Can you then take us to the next step of either using a press or?
Yeah.
hand?
So the other tools that are in there are something called brayers, which look like little rollers with handles, and that's how you apply the ink to the block. And there's a Japanese baron in there, and that's for hand printing. Because all of the prints that I make that are of a certain scale do not fit on the press. I have to print them by hand, which makes it kind of even a little bit more nutsy. But it's a labor of love. So it either gets printed by hand or it gets printed on the press. Smaller ones fit the press, way to go. Bigger ones do not. And that was the real challenge in Chrissy Fields, in the one of San Francisco, because that's hand printed. Reduction had to be registered and all that. It was really difficult. It was super difficult. Like the only other printmakers I know in the community were like, "You're nuts for doing that." Because it's difficult to keep the registration and print by hand.
Lay a sheet of paper.
An 8-foot sheet of paper, right? That you roll up and you pray that when you're unrolling it, it's in the right spot. Exactly. And not very inexpensive paper either, as you might imagine. So, you know, I've made big mistakes. It's rough.
This is really stupid.
No questions are stupid.
Yeah, it is, but so that's just a to get the different like you know you have light and dark.
Right.
So that's just a deeper cut.
No, it isn't necessarily
Okay.
about how deep. It's
Oh.
just different with tools that I
Oh,
use.
tools.
So it's just I am a deep cutter for a
Anyway.
printmaker,
Anyway.
naturally.
Okay.
Like printmakers look at my blocks and go, wow, you cut deep. And I'm like, I do cut deep. I know, it's so ridiculous, all the jokes. But no, everything that you see that's dark is
Yeah.
ink, and everything that you see is light tan, I cut with a tool.
Oh, God.
So all these ridiculous marks that I made,
Yeah.
I cut with a tool.
So it's
You stop painting the block before you cut it so you see better.
Yes, yeah, of course. I
So
do an
black is
entire,
already-
right,
Yeah,
the ink. I do an entire
For-
drawing
yeah,
first.
right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
okay.
You draw the paper first or you draw directly on the wood?
Nothing on the paper, everything's on the wood.
Right, I mean you don't
Oh, like a
make
study?
template or something?
No, I don't do that. I go right on the wood,
Okay.
which I force my students to do too. I'm like, why are you doing a drawing to do a drawing? And they're like, oh, it's been, I'm like, just draw on, just go already, go. So, yeah. No template tracing of the
Right.
image onto the wood. I just go directly on the circuit. Ready? So I've visited and hiked in over the last 20 years. In the little space behind the Golden Gate Bridge print are small etchings of this same area in the Adirondacks. It's right outside of Lake Placid. It's absolutely gorgeous to be up there. When it gets oppressively hot here, that is where I go every August. So I've been visiting that spot for a long time, and it presents its own challenges in different foliage, different types of evergreen trees, different types of maples. And I really am trying to recreate that through the abstract marks so that you get the sensibility for that. These two prints on my right here are obviously of California. Those are the redwood forest. And so the one on the right here is that experience you have walking through the redwoods. It's just that never-ending top of the tree, right? You just can't even see past it. So just wanted to give two different perspectives of that, just like I did the two perspectives of the mountains. And then over here, this is actually here in Miami off of 163rd Street, which is Oleta State Park. And if you have never been to Oleta State Park, I regret to inform you, you must go, okay? Go in the winter.
Yes.
It's outside mosquito. But I have kayaked through Oleta, I don't know how many times at this point. It is the most beautiful place here in Miami. It's hard to believe you're even in Miami. And I would go through the mangrove forest. It's just a canopy of beautiful trees. And I take all the images that you see here are my photographs. Sometimes I appropriate imagery. I have no problem with artists doing that or me doing that. It's just more meaningful to me when it's a place I've visited, a place I've experienced, a place I've researched to know the ecology of the area. That's what's meaningful and moving to me. And as an artist, I'm really mostly interested in how the light moves through the landscape. So after I learned about the Baroque period in art history, that was the crescendo of my art career. That was like, wow, look at these masters of light. I just don't even understand. And mostly the Dutch ones. I love all the Dutch ones. And not the popular Vermeer guy, De Hooch or Frans Hals, those painters. De Hooch is amazing because the way he uses light and his spaces are just so beautiful. So that's pretty much the bulk of what I'm doing here. I do have this quasi side of sculpture to me. These are a series of benches that I made. I have a second one and a third one that's a double-seater, but it was just too big to have in the space for this exhibition. But what you're looking at, and this is birch plywood, because you asked me earlier, this is not MDF, this is a much more superior wood. And it was a pain in the neck to cut, but I did it. So you're looking at the two wood blocks with the print mounted on the reverse side of the block. So one side of it is the actual relief cut block, and the other side is the print. And this idea came from playing with paper dolls. This idea as a little girl, I loved any kind of color form, paper doll, any kind of thing you can construct and put together. And I thought, I like that I'm a printmaker and I'm flat and I create illusions, but how do I talk about it three-dimensionally and still be true to being a flat person? And this was what I came up with. And I wanted it to be functional, so I made it a bench. You saw Sergio was just sitting here a little while ago, and it's like, if you tell somebody to just have a seat on the bench, it's like, who needs an iron throne when you can have a throne of mangroves? So.
Could you talk a little about how you go from the photographic image, which is tied to the actual way that plants grow and light reflects and the relative balance of light and dark, to something that is also an abstract composition where you're choosing how much to have. This could have been darker, but you decide to have a lot more light here than that. Do you just say, well, okay, yes, this is a dark image, but I want it lighter, or what's your process?
Not necessarily. It has to be in the image. So when I'm photographing, those are like my studies before I start the work. So like this series here, there's every artwork you're looking at in here, my poor iCloud is full. I need to go through that. Hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and I'll go like, nope, the light's not right, no, the light's not right, and I'll just keep going and going and going until I go, yeah, this is the right balance for me visually of moving the space in the foreground, middle ground, and background, of being able to understand what's in front and what's behind with the light source. That's how I'm picking the images. I don't know if I'm answering your question, I'm trying to.
So you're not doing a composite image, for example, taking, well, I like this part of this photo and this part of this one.
Right, and merging them. Sometimes, rarely, sometimes I do. I mean, think about it. I studied art before any of this existed.
Yeah.
So now, this to me is everything. Because it's like, oh, I just saved myself 10 steps. Click, 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 click. You know, crop it, shrink it, enlarge it, boom, boom. And so I'm actually, I mean, I guess I would say I'm kind of doing part of the pre-artwork on this device or on my computer. And I do pull the image up in Photoshop beforehand. But I don't do a lot to make this lighter or make this darker. There, I hope that kind of answers. Yes? I do, and I will do one that's overexposed, underexposed, and one on the middle, and then make my decisions that way. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, it expedites my time, and it doesn't affect the outcome, right? I mean, all of the work I made in undergraduate school was abstract. I didn't make a lot of representational work. And then when I got to graduate school, slowly representational things started sliding in, one of which was the landscape. Because figure, I grew up on Long Island in Queens, like in the boroughs, and then I came to Miami and Florida. I was like, ugh. And then I went to Illinois, where there was nothing for miles but soybeans and corn, you know. So I was in landscape shop in graduate school. And so most of my work became about that. Representation slowly started slipping into my work. And then I realized, after being in all these places, how important landscape is. And now I've experienced, in the time of living in Florida, how polluted our landscape has become. And it's kind of heartbreaking and a little unsettling to me. So I'm like, you know, I got to ask my partner, Mary, because she will tell you, honey, we have to hurry up. We have to go to the glaciers because the glaciers are melting. And we're going to see the glaciers anymore and make artwork about the glaciers, you know. So every time, every time you go, the landscape is different. We live in a state of hurricanes. Our entire landscape changed after Irma. My neighborhood landscape changed. So, right? So I've become very sensitive to those things after being a kid that, mostly lived in the concrete. And I'm like, please preserve it. I'm out there with trash bags. I'm always picking up trash. My partner and I go to Publix and we're like, the trash. I mean, I'm very worried. We live on a peninsula. And every restaurant that is on the shoreline of this state should have paper straws and paper cups. Because, and what they do, you applaud them. Because as a gift, my family took me to the Rusty Pelican last Sunday for brunch after the opening. And they had paper straws, and I mentioned it to him, and I'm like, yes, thank you for having paper straws. And he had a whole story about how corporate from California came and saw all the plastic flying into the ocean and freaked out. And said, no, we need paper, so encourage it. When I go to Publix, it's the most difficult thing to do. And I tell the lady, paper, because they put it right in a plastic, it's an automatic thing, Yes. Well, that's skin in the game, right? That's California's skin in the game.
California, we just outlawed plastic straws entirely.
Through the whole state. Right.
No more.
Right. I mean, I went as far as to buy the bags for produce now. Those are the worst. The produce bags. So they're all flying around all over the place. So I'm using those, all the stuff you can buy on Amazon, which is also terrible but good. Yes. You should probably ask Lisa and Sergio because they choose my friend. I mean, we do it together. That's not fair. We do it together, but I usually let them have the upper hand on that because as an artist, it's sometimes difficult to see your work beyond the studio. I'm sorry? Yes, and all these prints are one of one. There is an artist proof that I have that's not for sale. So when I'm exhibiting here and someone else is like, we'd love to show your work, I had a show in Richmond, Virginia. I was able to roll all my prints up in one box and send it up to Richmond and be magneted with the whole show to the wall. And those were the artist proofs. But they didn't have the originals. The originals are here. Good question.
It's funny because you're talking about the environment. So my question to you is, art why isn't it more going in that direction?
Because, I mean, that's an excellent question. I have a very specific answer. Because I'm interested in aesthetic beauty as an artist. That is one of the single most top priorities of art. Like, I'm a huge Matisse fan. So aesthetic beauty is paramount to me. And I feel that, you know, putting things like that in the environment make it unbeautiful. And we're experiencing that already. So I'm kind of hoping that people will go, wow, yeah, you know, the landscape is really beautiful. I'm going to mind my trash. I'm going to mind my footprint, my carbon footprint, because I want to protect this, because it is beautiful. So that's more my message than look at all this trash, look at all this trash. Great question. Yes, his name is Ernie. The alligator is Ernie, and then Erin is Stan. So, Stan. Just seem kind of like the right reason. I mean, everyone in California helped me name them, so it's kind of fun. Yeah.
And why all the pigeons?
Well, the pigeon, yeah. Because of the New York works, I did make pigeons to be a part of the environment of playing on indoor and outdoor, right? So a lot of what you see in these installations is this idea of things from the outdoors coming in and things from the inside going out. So that's where the pigeons are from, because if you went to New York, there's no way you didn't experience pigeons somewhere. And I like pigeons, even though everyone thinks that they're dirty, disease-carrying birds.